Hello, guten Tag. My name is Robert Aiki Aubrey Lowe, and I'm an artist that utilizes a modular synthesizer as a part of my practice, and that's sort of what I wanted to talk about today was uh, this particular instrument as an example of artistic process. The way that I came to using a modular synthesizer was due to the fact that a large part of my work involves the human voice. And over time, I realized, using different sorts of instrumentation as accompaniment for the human voice, that the synthesizer was the best for it, and the modular synthesizers specifically, because of the organic nature of the machine and just how well it couples. And also the idea that, seems like I'm getting a bit of feedback. Also the idea that there's no rule, which I think is really an important thing to talk about when you get into the world of creative endeavors. As far as instruments go, or making sonic or performative work, in a way, a lot of people are taught in the world of academia that there are these specific systems and traditions that you adhere to do a certain thing. And one thing I've always been a proponent of is the idea of discovery, experimentation in a way that might lead you down a path that you might not have thought of before, which then you would be compelled by to carry on. And also the idea, in my work, I deal with the idea of moments. Because as an improviser, I like the idea of being in that moment, creating a space in that moment, and truly listening and understanding what it is. And once it's finished, it's done. Because no matter who you are, whether you are the creator or the witness to such a thing, that moment will exist only as that thing in that moment. And the human memory is only an approximation of an event that happened, which is something that's really interesting to me. And everyone can walk away from that moment with their own particular view of what it is that happened. And so right now I have a patch that I've thrown together. I don't actually know totally what it sounds like. But that, in a way, can be really inspiring because of the fact that with the synthesizer itself, because it's based on electricity, you can touch a knob, move it a millimeter, and all of a sudden it completely changes the architecture of what's happening in this particular world. So yeah, that's something that's really nice for me, and maybe I can turn it on and see what happens. So that was that. Thank you. So yeah, I know my time is short, and normally when I give talks, I take a lot longer time to sort of get into these ideas and really focus on ways in which I create and ways in which I've leaned against in order to cultivate technique, because that's one thing that I've always thought to be the most important thing as individuals and as creative entities. For me, the most important idea is to, if you have access to these particular traditions or systems, whether it be the 12-tone scale or an Arabic scale or dealing with just intonation, what have you, these things are always good to know. They're always good to learn. These are things that I have great appreciation for and will lead to reference within your work and will influence your work. But for me, the most important thing is to take those things, understand what they are, and then utilize them to cultivate your own technique. Because at a certain point, these things that are now traditions were an idea that someone had that were available to no one else, and they put them out in the world. And so I would pose to you to do the same. Thanks.